Alright, shalom family. Alright, first of all, I'm going to say all praises to the Most High, for letting me wake up and do this video. So I came across a document a few weeks ago, and I decided to do a video on it. So as you can see, it's called the NIAC, the President's National Infrastructure Advisory Council. So pretty much what they're doing is they're getting you ready for a catastrophic power outage. All right. So it's a 94-page document. It came out December 2018, so that was last month. The table of contents, if you look at it, it'll tell you pretty much the steps. Alright, what the nation faces. Let's go down, scroll down, see what we can find. Alright, so right here it says, what is a catastrophic power outage? Events beyond modern experience that exhaust or exceed mutual aid capabilities. Likely to be no notice or limited notice events that could be complicated by a cyber physical attack. Long duration, lasting several weeks to months due to a physical infrastructure damage. Affects a broad geographic area covering multiple states or regions and affecting tens of millions of people. Causes severe cascading impacts that force critical sectors, drinking water, wastewater systems, communications, transportation, healthcare, and financial services to operate in a degraded state. Alright, so what that's saying is you got to prepare yourself to be able to sustain yourself for at least 6 months. Alright, so if they tell you that, that means it's actually longer. Alright, so I came across a document. Somebody sent it to me, so I was like, so I read it. It's 94 pages, and I'm telling you, it's kind of scary. And then also at the same time, the scriptures line up perfectly with it for what they're going to do. Alright, so let me get some scriptures to set it off. Also, I'm going to show one more document. This is called the internment and resettlement operations. Okay, so this is for after a catastrophic power outage. This came out February 2010, so this is already set up. Okay, this is already set up already. All right, and you can go, if you look up here, you'll see the link is the U.S. Army internment. So this is a government document, okay? And you see the numbers right here. This is an official document, okay? Department of the Army. Okay, so this publication is available at Army Knowledge Online. There's the name. There's the address. You can get the same document I have. All right, so let's go down here. Look up internment and resettlement operations. Okay. So, one thing that stood out with me was Article 5, tribunals. What's a tribunal? Let's look that up. Let's look at what a tribunal is. Tribunal. Tribunal, a court of justice, an international war crimes tribunal. A seat or bench for a judge or judges. So that means they're going to have tribunals at war crimes. So people are going to be being judged and put to death in tribunals. So this is the resettlement operations. So when we resettle after a catastrophic power outage, there's going to be tribunals, and a lot of people are going to be put to death. That's in the scriptures too. All right. So also, let me get one more thing. If anyone ever heard of the King Alfred plan, let me get this for you. Where's it at? King Alfred plan. I think I have that up in the PDF. Get that real quick. There it is. King Alfred plan. If you never heard of this, it's a government document, and let me give you the executive order numbers. So just so you can see it, I'm going to show it to you on the screen. All right. So as you can see here, you see the highlighted numbers: 11490, 11921, 12148. Okay, you can look those up yourself, so you can actually look it up on your own. Okay, so this is a official government document. It's called the King Alfred Plan, and it's telling you some man, it's not good. All right, now let me read some of this stuff. Okay, you know, first let me get into a scripture. Okay, so we're going to start at 2 Ezra 15. All right, 2 Ezra 15. You can read the whole chapter on your own, but I'm going to start at 5. All right, 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So, when a catastrophic power outage happens, what you think is going to happen? There's going to be no food, there's going to be no water, no electricity. So, what's going to happen? Wickedness is going to is gonna wax cold. All right. So let's go here again. Let's go down to 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So that means people are going to be killing and stealing, because there's going to be no food, no electricity, no water. And people are going to be invading one another. And there's going to be no regard for the princes or your kings or your fathers. No regard. People are just going to be killing and taking what they need and what they think they deserve. Alright, so let's go also. Let's go to 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So that means someone's going to go to your house, take your goods, because they don't have no bread, and they're going to spoil your goods, kill you, take all your stuff, because of the great tribulation and the lack of bread. That means a food shortage. So when this catastrophic power outage happens, there's going to be a food shortage with that. It's not just, oh, there's no electricity. Nah. That comes along with killing, murder, stealing, rape, all types of wickedness. See, so people are not really understanding this. When the government puts this document out here, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. It's setting you up. And if you don't take heed, if you don't have an ear to hear and you're not listening to this stuff, you're going to be taken by storm and you're going to die. That's just how it works. Alright? So let's get down, let's go down to, now, 2nd Esdras, a lot of people don't really know about 2nd Esdras, the Apocrypha. Let me show you once again what it is. A lot of people don't know what this is. The Apocrypha, it's 14 books that were taken out of the original scriptures. The Catholic Church took it out. I always say this when I read this book, because a lot of people don't really understand. So let's go to 2nd Esdras. This is the next chapter over. We're going to go to 16. Okay? So 16, and we're going to start. Now, I suggest you read this whole this whole thing on your own, okay? But, you know, people have a short attention span, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. Alright? I'm just going to read some verses, and then you can go and you can read it on your own. Okay, now let's go to 2nd Ezra 16:18. Start at 18. Okay. Well, let's start at 17. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Yeah, what you going to do when these evils come? So I suggest everyone, you should be repenting right now. You should be repenting every single day, every chance you get, because this stuff is it's going to happen. All right? It's going to happen. All right? And, you know, people just don't really understand the severity of what's happening right now. All right? So let's go down to 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of scourges. So that means even though there's going to be a food shortage, people are still going to be wicked. They're going to turn even more wicked, matter of fact. All those people are going to be destroyed. The time is at hand. The time is here. Alright? Now let's go down to 22. Alright? Or, you know, let's go to 21. Behold, victual shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Notice the words that keep popping up is sword, famine. Sword and famine. These days, a sword is a sword, but also the sword now falls under, a gun falls under the category of a sword. Alright, so these things, the scriptures is not playing. Alright? For many of them that dwell upon earth, let me go down to where we at, 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. There's famine again. And other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So now, when you escape your hunger, you're going to get killed by a sword. And these days it's a gun, but you can still get killed by a sword too. Alright? And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. Yeah. Alright? So, you know, the scriptures don't lie. Now let's go down to 31. 31. Even so in those days, there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. So now they're going to mean people are going to be searching your houses with the sword. That can mean people just going into your house trying to take your food, or the law coming to throw you in a FEMA camp. Now these scriptures line up directly with what I posted here. This thing right here. These scriptures line up directly with this. This document right here actually will be the start of all these things, of all these sorrows that's going to come upon the earth. And then all these documents line up. Internment and resettlement operations. So now when they drop this on you, this is when they start really killing people to try to make you get the mark of the beast. Alright, I did a separate video on that. You can go to my videos, and it says the Jehovah's Witnesses Wicked Dealings with Jared Kushner. It's talking about the mark of the beast, how they plan to give you the mark of the beast, and all those things. Alright, now let's go down to let's go up to 37. 37. Okay? Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. That means the plagues are coming closer and they're not gonna slack. They're gonna happen. It doesn't matter what you think. You can keep watching football. You can keep saying you love God, but don't. This stuff is gonna happen. Let's go down to 38. As when a woman with child is in the 9th month, bringing forth her son within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. You see what I'm saying? So just like when a woman gives birth and she's going to have these labor pains, it's going to happen. Regardless, you're going to have some labor pains. All right? That's a fact. Just like the pains are going to happen on the earth when these plagues happen. All right? So the plagues are right around the corner. People just don't get it. You know, you see in Mecca the other day, the locusts swarmed over there. You know? So, you know, and let me get a scripture, another scripture, and then I'll end it off. Once again, these documents are no joke. Look them up. You know, I don't need to go into them. I just showed you what they are. You can read them yourself. All right. So now let's get a few scriptures to end this thing off. We're going to go Matthew 25, 13. All right. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour where the Son of Man cometh. That means you should be watching. You got to be looking out. You got to be watching. Everything they do, look at what they're doing. Don't get caught up in football and all these sports they got out here to distract you. That's what they're doing. They're distracting you with all this stuff. They're distracting you so you don't know what's going on. All right? Let's get another scripture. We're going to go Mark 13. Let's see. Mark 13, 35 to 37. All right. Here we go again. Watch ye, therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto you all, watch. That means watch. That means look out. Watch what's happening. All right? Look out for all these things that's coming upon the earth. These documents are not fake. They're real. They put them out here and they tell you to you right in your face. Right in your face. These scriptures are lining up perfectly with what's happening. I mean, there's all types of other things that's happening too, but, you know, I just focus on these documents right here. So if you guys haven't read the King Alfred Plan, I suggest you go read it because, you know, it's no joke. Let me get one more thing real fast, and then I'll leave it there. So let me get down to the how serious they are about this. So they broke down the regions. All right, they broke down regions. Check this out. I want to read something real quick. So pretty much this is saying racial war. Okay, let me read this. Even before 1954, when the Supreme Court of the United States of America declared unconstitutional separate educational and recreational facilities, racial unrest and discord had become very nearly a part of the American way of life. But that way of life was repugnant to most Americans since 1954. However, the unrest and discord have broken out into widespread violence, which increasingly have placed the peace and stability of the nation in dire jeopardy. This violence has resulted in loss of life, limb of property, and has cost the taxpayers of this nation billions of dollars. And the end is not yet in sight. The same violence has raised the tremendously grave question as to whether the races can ever live in peace with each other. Each passing month has brought new intelligence that despite new laws passed to alleviate the condition of the minority, notice that word, the minority still is not satisfied. Demonstrations and rioting have become part of the familiar scene. Troops have been called out in city after city across the land, and our image as a world leader severely damaged. Our enemies press closer, seeking advantage. Possibly, notice they said our enemies. Our enemies press, and it's saying our enemies is the minority. Our enemies press closer, seeking advantage. possibly at a time during one of these outbreaks of violence. The minority has adopted an almost military posture to gain its objectives, which are not clear to most Americans. It is expected, therefore, that when those objectives are denied, the minority, racial war must be considered inevitable. Now you see that right there, right? That says a racial war. Now that's actually in the scriptures too. That's in Matthew. That's Matthew when it says nation nation shall rise against nation. All right. A racial war must be considered inevitable. That the emergency comes. We must expect the total involvement of all 22 million members of the minority, men, women, and children. For once this project is launched, it is a goal to terminate once and for all the minority threat to the whole of the American society and indeed the free world. That means they're coming to kill the so-called minorities, the blacks, Latinos, whoever else is not white people. Alright? So, but the 1% white people, they're actually involved in this too, because a lot of the white people are minorities too. It's the actual elite, the ones at the top. So white people are involved in this too. So they're putting everybody involved in this because the elite, they consider white folks part of the minority too. Those are the lower level white people. But they bunch them all together with blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, Asians. So a lot of white folks are caught up in this too. All right. Now let me prove that to you. All right. Now this right here, they broke it up into regions. Okay. No attempt will be made to seal off the Canadian and Mexican borders. There you go. Secretary, Department of Interior. Oh man. And the name of it is called King Alfred because of the King of England, who slaughtered thousands under the disguise of protecting the European religion of Christianity. As a result, he was revered as one of the most noble kings in the history of England. This is when they killed King James. They slaughtered all the black people who actually ruled Europe at the time. But they take that out of history. That's part of the Dark Ages. All right. And now let's come down here. Okay. Now, watch this. This is the cold part right here. This is cold right here. Okay. This is talking about the lakes and the regions they're going to break it into. Okay. Now, listen to this. Survey shows that during a 6-year period, production created 9 million objects, or 1.5 million each year. Objects means bodies. That means bodies. Or 1.5 each year. Production could not dispose of the containers, which proved a bottleneck. However, that was almost 20 years ago. We suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the production problems inherent in the King Alfred Plan. The Zero Committee report is referring to the problems that occurred in Nazi Germany when the furnaces were not hot enough to burn the bodies that Hitler had killed. The bodies clogged up the furnaces, thereby causing a problem that the above committee recommends avoiding by building high-volume nuclear-powered incinerators that burn 5,000 degrees. It should be noted that steel melts approximately 2,700 degrees. That means they plan on burning up all the bodies that they're killing. And I just read you the scriptures on that in 2nd Esdras, where they will cast up the bodies like dung. Alright? Now, watch this. One more thing. Alright, here it is right here. Here it is. Okay. Here, listen to this. An estimated 40 to 50% of the white population will not, for various reasons, engage the minority during an emergency. American armed forces are spread around the world. A breakout of war abroad means fewer troops at home to handle the emergency. Local law enforcement officials must contain the emergency until help arrives. Though it may mean fighting a superior force, New York City, for example, has 25,000 man police force, but there are about 1 million minority members in the city. We are confident that the minority would hold any city it took for only a few hours. The lack of weapons, facilities, logistics, all put the minority at a final disadvantage. Since the Korean War, this department has shifted minority members of the armed forces to areas where combat is most likely to occur, with the aim of eliminating through combat. You see that? That means they took minority members and directly sent them off to war so they can be eliminated through combat, so they can die. That's a wicked plan. That's a very wicked plan. As many combat trained military servicemen as possible. Today, the ratio of minority member combat deaths in Vietnam, where they are serving as advisors, as twice as high as minority population ratio to the rest of America. Below is a timeline for King Alfred as tentatively suggested by the JCS, who recommend that the operation be made over a period of 8 hours. That means they're going to make this thing happen in 8 hours, and this is the timeline right here of when they're going to do it. All right. So once again, you can go look this up. It's called the King Alfred Plan. I showed you the executive order. You can rewind it, or let me just show you again. Here it is right here. These are the executive orders. These are the numbers right there. You can look those up, and you can look it up yourself. All right. So it's about to get real, people. They're setting it up. They're setting it up for the okie doke. All right. So I want to say all praises to the Most High, and shalom.